Hello, welcome to what is the technically second episode of the Tech Exec. Officially, really the first episode where I'm going to talk about a particular topic that I find interesting. It was an article that came out in Business Insider, I guess about a week ago, that talked about that software engineers can make well over 700K at Amazon. And kind of surprised a few people in my network that found out about this. But in some of the conversations I've had since then, I've gotten a lot more clarity in terms of why people were surprised by it. I think there's this feeling that there's a salary band that software engineers can make, and you start out about 80K and kind of work your way up. But in reality, you most software or most good software engineers that I've worked with and met, start out, either six figures, or mid, high six figures, and pretty much can go all the way up to close to a million, depending on what your specialization is. So if you're in a specialized field such as data science or AI or robotics, you're making bank. So yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing I really wanted to do here is expose people to some of the skills that are needed in order to put yourself in a better position to make this kind of money. As a technology exec, I've been blessed to be able to build skills over my career, from software development, data analytics, working in APIs, in machine learning, and those things have really paid off for me personally. I my day to day, I know I'm no longer hand to hand coding. People don't pay me for that, but I'm able to still dive in and understand it enough where I can explain the value to clients and folks that I work with. So I'm going to dive in really quickly and talk about what this article really was talking about. It was a leaked a memo that allowed recruiters at Amazon to essentially offer up to 715K for candidates. And this wasn't a blanket authorization. It was, I believe, it was for a particular position or a particular role that are in high demand. And yeah, it's not a thing where every single developer will come in and make this kind of money. You have to be very specialized. So it's shocked a lot of people. But for me, it was a really good bit of insight to show people that there is still a lot of money to be made as a software engineer, particularly if you continue to build on your skills, continue to learn new technologies and new techniques for building solutions. And then if you match different skill sets like machine learning and cloud computing, for example. So if you have you understand how to build machine learning models and you have an AWS cert, so you can build these models on the cloud. Matching these skills together put you in a much better position to make a massive amount of money and to build wealth fairly quickly. So here's a table that they had. And if you look at it, the table is not necessarily in order in terms of range of experience or seniority. So I wanted to kind of block this out a bit. So this row right here is really kind of the starting salary range for a junior engineer, and most likely somebody who, fresh out of college, no real professional experience. And if you look at it, you can see they're making about 160K to about 180K per year, and this just feels about right. Some of the best software engineering candidates that I've seen, depending on where they are in that range of 80, 90K all the way up to 200K. And it depends on what their skill set is and how demand they are and how much you need to fill a position. The second, software dev engineer two. This is typically like first promotion or a few years of experience. And if you see, this is where you're cracking over 200K per year. Now this is very specific to Amazon, but it is endemic of salaries that you can make at the top tier technology companies, particularly here in the US, but in other places around the world. I'm going to focus primarily on the US. So you're cracking 200K all the way up past mid 200s as a software engineer too. And then if you look at software engineer three, this is typically over 5 years of experience, and you're in that high salary engineering range. So 277K all the way at over 400K. And for a lot of people, it's kind of hard to fathom what that kind of money is. This is really where you start getting into um, the ability to have a lot of personal freedom and do a lot of the things that you want to do. And you get into a situation where on a daily basis you're walking around and working with millionaires after a few years, right? And for a lot of people, it's hard to imagine, why would you work if you're a millionaire? But $1 million is really not a lot of money, right? You continue to work because you understand that once you cross a certain boundary in terms of net worth, in terms of responsibilities, you realize that you have to continue to work hard. You have to continue to build skills. You have to continue to compete. And this is the top tier of competition. And so this is a really, really, really good example of how you can make money by building these skills. So what kind of skills do you need to have in order to be in this range? So you want to typically be a full stack software developer. So you know how to build the front end, websites or mobile apps. You know how to, how to design and build all the scaffolding, whether you're using a framework like React on the front end. You know how to build kind of that middle tier. So all of the application logic, you're writing all the business logic, you're wiring it up to the back end, whether it be a traditional database or a NoSQL database. You know how to design the architecture on the cloud, whether you're using AWS or Azure. So you know how to build, that's what we call a full stack engineer. So you know how to build every single facet of the application. And when you're working on a team, typically you don't have to take on every single facet, but your ability and the skills to be able to do that put you in a position where you can take on any role on the team, and that makes you infinitely more valuable. Beyond that, what you want to do is, I advise people to always, strive for certification. So if you can get, an AWS developer cert, or AWS architect certification, these are extremely valuable in putting you in this type of position. So you match the cloud certifications plus the full stack or front end or back end engineering skill sets and capabilities, and all of a sudden you're making bank, and you are making more money than you ever thought possible. So this is the pathway that I advise people to go. It is unfathomable. Like, for me, for example, I grew up just outside of DC, in Landover, Maryland, PG County, Prince George's County, and I couldn't fathom where my career has taken me back then. It is hard to believe the types of things I've been able to do and work on, but it was technology that allowed me to do it. And it's not something that, it's not that I did something that nobody else can do, is that I worked hard and continued to learn, continue to build new skills. I never stopped learning. That is the main differentiator. You never stop learning. You never stop trying new things, particularly in technology. When you stop learning, you get stale. When you get stale, your value starts to decrease. It is literally survival of the fittest in the truest sense of the term. So I'm going to go to the next one. So this is where you start to move from primarily engineering to managing and leading teams. And this is anywhere from 5 to 10 years of experience. And so before this point, you might lead a work stream or a small team or 1 or 2 junior developers under you. But this is, when you get to manager in software engineering, this is where you're starting to lead teams. And the success of the project is really in your hands. So you're making a lot of decisions in terms of the makeup of the team, in terms of how the work gets broken down and distributed amongst the team, and overall how that team coalesces and can deliver value for whatever you're building. So this is where the salary ranges start to jump. You may most likely you're still coding, you're still doing some engineering, but you're doing a lot of architecture and design work. So you're explaining to senior developers and junior developers what needs to get built, and so you start to take on some of that overall accountability and responsibility. And then this last one, this is really where, I'm gonna take a quote from, I'm gonna mangle a quote from Coming to America. This is where the big bucks start to roll in. You're talking 450, 600, 700K. You are extremely specialized here. And it's labeled senior manager of software dev. But really, when you start talking that type of salary range, you are specialized. You are doing something typically in artificial intelligence or machine learning, or probably something related to robotics, maybe some blockchain. But you're doing something specialized, and you are delivering an immense amount of value. My uncle told me a long time ago, when you start to make this kind of money, they want something in exchange for it. And so you need to have those skill sets and the experience to be able to deliver this type of value. So, continuing to, pick up new skills. So for example, there's a lot of activity happening right now in artificial intelligence, particularly with like OpenAI. And I'm going to do a video on this. I saw a really cool demo of something from OpenAI. But the ability to understand what new technologies represent and how it'll change the things that you work on, and open the opportunity to solve new types of problems, the ability to make connections from different situations and technologies. Make those connections fairly quickly and build new solutions. That's what puts you in a position to be able to make this kind of money. I can't harp on this enough. It is the thing that allows you to do this, to make this kind of money, is skills, experience, and value. That's really it. And you'll have a lot of people saying it's unfair that that people make this kind of money. It's unfair, that other industries or jobs don't pay this much. We live in a capitalist society, and if you pick up the skills that the market values, you're gonna win the lion's share. That's just what it is. And so instead of complaining that things aren't fair, instead of complaining that whatever industry you're in or job you're in should pay more, build skills in an area where the market values highly. So if you're in a low wage job, if you're working fast food, if you're whatever it might be. Take the time, sit down, learn a new skill, learn software development. I mean, there's really cool uh, organizations that will teach you things like full stack development, that will where you can learn how to do a lot of the front end dev. You can learn cloud computing. You can get your certifications, right? But pick one thing, learn that, and then learn the next one, right? So if you wanted to lay this out, for example, in a path, I would say learn front end development, pick up maybe back end development, get a AWS certification, maybe like AWS developer associate certification, and then start to build some skills. You might learn how to use Figma for doing prototyping, building clickable prototypes, for example, right? Then once you have those under your belt, then you might start playing around with some machine learning, right? And there are some awesome free tutorials on YouTube, for example. I think like it's called Free Code Camp. Offers a ton of free tutorials on extremely valuable skills. So you can learn Python, for example. And with Python, it's the language that they use in machine learning that you can then translate and build web applications. And it's extremely valuable in the marketplace. But when you tie all this together, this puts you in a position where you can start to make, you can put yourself on a path to make this kind of money. Play the long game. So I've ranted on enough about this. This is the Tech Exec. Excuse some of the background noise. It's my kids coming in and out, but it's been really good. Looking forward to doing the next one. I think they want to do the next one on AWS certifications. I got a couple questions on that. And then I got another one planned to talk about OpenAI and the symbiotic relationship that we're all going to have with AI. So with that, this is the Tech Exec. Thank you. Leave a comment, ask questions. Happy to make this another conversation. Thanks.